Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. This is Coach Linda, and you're listening to 100 Days of Purpose. And we are coming with you with part two of what is imposter syndrome. And we're going to talk about a little bit more about what it is, and then we're going to give you some strategies, some techniques that you can use to cope with, deal with, handle, overcome this syndrome. Yesterday we talked about, and I'm gonna quickly go over this and then we're going to get into it. We talked about the symptoms of um, imposter syndrome, which is number one, self doubt, number two, an inability to realistically assess your your competence and skill. Number three, attributing your success to external factors. Number four, berating your performance. Number five, fear that you won't live up to expectations. Number six, overachieving. Number seven, sabotaging your own success. And number eight, setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. And we also talked about how you can identify it. If you're not sure, if you have self doubt, but you're not sure that it's attributed to imposter syndrome, you can ask yourself these questions. Question number one: do you agonize over even the smallest mistakes or flaws in your work? If you do a project, do you sit there and think about what you did wrong, what you didn't do right? If you made a bad decision, things of that nature, do you just obsess on that? Number two, do you attribute your success or luck, or excuse me, do you contribute your success to luck or outside factors? Are you very sensitive even to constructive criticism? Do you feel, and so that's number three. Number four, do you feel like you will inevitably be found out as a phony? I mean, it's just sure to happen that someone's going to expose you. And remember, imposter syndrome is something that you believe about yourself. So, and it could develop from what others have said to you, have labeled you, but these are your internal beliefs. Okay. And then number one, two, three, four, five. Number five, do you downplay your own expertise? Do you downplay your own expertise even in areas where you are genuinely more skilled than others? Um, and so again, that those are the things that you have to look at when you're dealing with imposter syndrome. And we understand that 70% of the population deals with this. Um, and it was first attributed to successful women. And now they recognize that not just women, but men also struggle from this, and it can be very paralyzing. So what causes imposter syndrome? I am so sorry that I'm yawning because I was doing fine until I decided to go live, and I don't know what it is, especially when I'm talking about important topics. It's like the trick of the enemy. Okay, so what causes it? Um, we know that certain factors can contribute to more to can contribute to the more general experience of imposter syndrome. For example, you might have come from a family that is um highly skilled, highly achieved. They have a lot of high achievements, and accomplishments are their core value, right? Or had parents who flip back and forth between offering praise and being very critical. We also know that entering a new role can trigger imposter syndrome. For example, starting college or university might leave you feeling as though you don't belong or you are not capable. Starting a new job, getting a promotion, trying to start a business, entering into, maybe it's the same business, but you're entering into a new field in that business. So these things, whether you have knowledge or not, these things can trigger imposter syndrome in you. Imposter syndrome and social anxiety may overlap. So you need to know the difference between the two. However, they are very similar in nature. A person with social anxiety disorder may feel as though they don't belong in society. They don't belong in social or performance situations. And um, you may feel like you shouldn't be in a conversation with someone, and feel as though you don't have enough information to contribute to that conversation, and or you won't be successful in the job because you don't really know what you think that you know, and you feel that you're going to be exposed for your social incompetence. You might be delivering a presentation and feel as though you just need to get through it before anyone realizes you don't belong there, or maybe you feel like you haven't researched it well enough. And another thing that you can get in imposter syndrome is when you stay up all night trying to prepare for something. You have a big speech coming, a big presentation coming. You're trying to put something together and you're up all night, and that whole perfectionism, everything has to be perfect. You don't want to say the wrong things, you don't want to stumble. And I actually go through that a lot. I just, one of the reasons why I do these lives is to kind of force myself, because people say, oh, well, you're a pastor, you're a coach, you're always up in front of people, you're always talking, and I've seen you in action, and you just kind of command the stage and you do this and da 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 da. And I get that, but in my mind, I always feel that, did I do it right? Did I say everything I was supposed to say? Did people understand me? And I'm always questioning in the background. And I don't do anymore, but I used to um, doubt myself, doubt that the research I did, doubt the knowledge that I have, doubt even the life's experience and the wisdom that I had, that anyone would want to hear it. And I was talking just a little bit few weeks ago. I posted that I'm going to start talking about my weight loss journey, and I think I kept starting this, especially back in 2010 or 2012, when I decided that I was going to document my whole journey. I started it, and then, because I wasn't getting the likes, I wasn't getting the people watching the videos, and it was taking time, and I wasn't as consistent as I needed to be. So, therefore I was beating myself up because this is not doing what I want. It's not reaching the people that I wanted to reach. And so there's always that imposter syndrome, no matter how successful or unsuccessful you are. And so you got to recognize that, and you got to be willing to work through it. Because if you try to come off as though you never have issue, you never have problems, then that's going to feed through, and that is going to actually paralyze you and expose you more than um, you not knowing the information. And so I hope that you're catching that, and are that you are going to take that into consideration, because sometimes our fears can cause us to fail because we're fearing the wrong thing, and that fear paralyzes us and causes this imposter syndrome to take control. Okay. um and listen, while the symptoms of social anxiety can fuel feelings of imposter syndrome, this does not mean that everyone with imposter syndrome has social anxiety, or vice versa. People without social anxiety can also feel a lack of confidence and competence. Imposter syndrome often causes normally non anxious people to experience a sense of anxiety when they are in situations where they feel inadequate. So I'm going to say that again. Imposter syndrome often causes normally non anxious people to experience a sense of anxiety when they are in situations where they feel inadequate. Okay. Now, there's types of imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome can appear in a number of different ways. A few of the different types of imposter syndrome that I have come across and have identified are the perfectionists. And I talked a little bit about that already, but the perfectionists are never satisfied and always feel that their work could be better. Rather than focus on their strengths, they tend to fixate on any flaws or mistakes. This often leads to a great deal of self pressure and high amounts of anxiety. Then there is the superhero. Because these individuals feel inadequate, they feel compelled to push themselves to work as hard as possible. And you got to think about the whole Superman Clark Kent, right? Clark Kent was this mild mannered, kind of clumsy type dude, wore glasses, just kind of someone that you would overlook. And then Superman was this, this powerful guy that could run and leap over buildings and be shot at. And, and so sometimes you have that and you put on a persona because you don't want people to know the real you or to see the real you, because the real you feels inadequate or clumsy or out of place. And so you want to remember that. So we have the perfectionist or we have the superhero. And number three that I've come across is the expert. These individuals are always trying to harm or trying to learn more, or and are never satisfied with their level of understanding, even though they are often highly skilled. They underrate their own expertise. So you have, and this is really important for me because I kind of fall into, at some time, depending on what situation I find myself in, I can be the perfectionist, or I can try to be the superhero, or I can be the expert. And because I am a sage and I'm always learning and always trying to get a better understanding, the expert in me will always sometimes doubt that my expertise is the expertise that I need to be giving out to people. So I'm trying to use me because I can't talk about you, but I can talk about me, okay? And then there is the natural genius. These individuals set exclusively lofty goals for themselves and then feel crushed when they don't succeed on their first try. And then there's the soloist. These people tend to be very individualistic and prefer to work alone. Self worth often stems from their productivity. So they often reject offers of assistance. They tend to see asking for help as a sign of weakness or incompetence. And so those are some of the ones that I've come across. And there's a lot more out there. And you can be one or all or any combination of it. Again, like I said, these things are things that I personally identify with. And when I was thinking about this and thinking about my own life and how this shows up in my life, because again, we are trying to overcome it. So we can't overcome the thing we don't acknowledge, right? And so here are some ways that you can deal with and get past imposter syndrome. You need to start asking yourself some hard questions. And these questions might be, what core beliefs do I hold about myself? Or do I believe I am worthy of love as I am? Okay. Many times we feel like an imposter, even in our relationships, because we feel that we're unworthy. Maybe we broke somebody's heart in the past. And so now we're in a situation where we think karma, or, what comes around goes around, is going to happen. And so we then get into self-sabotaging the relationships because we feel unworthy to be in those relationships. So do you believe I am worthy of love as you are worthy of love? And then you might ask yourself, must I be perfect for others to approve of myself? So do I have to appear to be perfect to everyone else so that I like me? Okay. So and let me say this about perfectionism, because I guess out of all of these, there's a little struggle in each area, but perfectionism seems to be the reason why I push myself. And when I make a mistake, or I fumble my words, I try to laugh at myself. And you guys see me working through this right over the 100 days. If you go from year one of me doing the 100 days of purpose till now, you'll see there's times that I've missaid words. I've had to did, and I didn't go back in and edit it and trying to make it look perfect. I left it the way it is. Why? Because Linda is dealing with her imposter syndrome. Linda is dealing with, look, this is who I truly am. Sometimes I get a little tie-tongue, and I don't say the words right. I don't pronounce the words right. Or, I'm thinking so fast in my mind that I'm speaking and I'm just rolling it, and it's just rolling out because my mind and my mouth can't speak as fast as my mind is thinking. And so there are things that I know that are going on with me, but you may not know what's going on. And you think, oh, well, she just messed up. She just flubbed up, da, da, da. Or you laugh at me. But me, I'm working through this imposter perfectionism thing that I have, where everything has to be perfect. I want everything to go smoothly. I want everything to be right. I want to say the right thing, do the right thing. I want to show that I have this huge vocabulary, and I want to sound intelligent. And so there's all of these things going on in my mind, and I struggle with this perfectionism. And so I did a lot of research on this, because when you're dealing with imposter syndrome, you got to deal with what you acknowledge is that is the issue. And the issue isn't so much it's how you believe and what you're telling yourself. Okay. So perfectionism plays a significant role in imposter syndrome. You might think that there is some perfect script for conversation, that you cannot say the wrong thing. You probably have trouble asking for help from others and may procrastinate due to your high standards. And so that in a nutshell, it even with the days that I missed and things, I have to go back and say, okay, Linda, why did you really miss these days? Yeah, you got busy and it slipped your mind, but why was it so easily to slip your mind? And so when I thought about that, it all plays into the perfectionism. I want the perfect time. I want to have, 50, 60 people listening to me at one time. I did, and this, that, and the other. And I start telling myself, oh, it's not working. People are not listening. But people are listening. People are doing the work. People are appreciative of what I'm doing. But I've told myself, because the numbers don't reflect that, I've told myself, okay, well, this must not be working. I must not be perfect enough. I must not be the expert enough. I must not be, what else? The genius enough. I may not be the superhero that they need. And so I've gone through this, and I am a very individualistic person. If anybody knows me, they know I will do things. I do things alone. I will go to the movies alone. I will go out to eat dinner alone. I will go, on a vacation alone. I will do these things, and I don't always ask for help when I need help. And so when I do ask for help, it's a huge thing for me. And then if I ask for help and nobody comes to help, because she does it herself all the time, it then feeds into that fear. It feeds back into that, well, let me just do it. Let me just handle it. Okay. And so we want to cope with it, but we also want to overcome it and be able to get through it. So to move past these feelings, and I'm almost done, To move past these feelings, you need to become more comfortable with confronting some of those deep, ingrained beliefs you hold about yourself. This can be hard because you might not even realize that you hold them. You may not understand what your beliefs are. That's why I talk about understanding your core beliefs and having those core beliefs, because whether the core beliefs are positive or negative, you need to confront them. You need to recognize that these are your beliefs. And once you get to that point, then you have to, number one, share your feelings, talk to other people about how you feel. These irrational beliefs tend to fester when they are hidden and not talked about. Then you need to focus on others. While this might feel counterintuitive, try to help others in the same situation as you are. Thus, I'm on here talking about imposter syndrome. You see how that works? Okay. I shared my feelings. I told you guys what it is that I do, and and where it attacks me and how it looks in my life. And now I am focusing not on me. I'm telling you my story and my feelings, but I'm sharing this so it can help you. You see how that works? Okay. So focus on others. While this might feel counterintuitive, try to help others in the same situation as you are. If you see someone who seems awkward or alone, ask that person a question to bring them into a group. As you practice your skills, you will build confidence in your own abilities. And then access your abilities. Number three, assess your abilities. If you have long held beliefs about your incompetence in social and performance situations, make a realistic assessment of your abilities. Write down your accomplishments and what you are good at, and compare that with your self assessment. Okay. So you want to truthfully, realistically, authentically assess your own abilities. Don't go to your friend and ask your friend to assess you. You want to assess you. Why? Because you got to counteract and counter your belief that says that you are not good enough. So you've got to show yourself that you are good enough so that you can continue to do the thing that you need to do. We're talking about being people of purpose. You can't be a person of purpose if you think your purpose is unneeded, if you think you are unneeded, if you think that you cannot do it. You cannot effectively go out and be a person of purpose, because you can't be strategic, you can't be intentional, and you definitely are not going to do anything on purpose because you are so busy telling yourself it's not needed. You get it? Is it making sense? I hope it is. And then number 4 is take baby steps. Don't focus on doing things perfectly, but rather do things reasonably well and reward yourself for taking action. For example, in a group conversation, offer an opinion or share a story about yourself. I have started, because it's easy for me to be in a meeting, whether it's a VPE meeting, which is a Visionaries Pursuing Excellence meeting with the other senior pastors of the organization that I'm a part of, or if I'm with other coaches or I'm with other pastors, whatever it may be. It's easy for me just to sit and want to hear what they have to say and not input my information. And so when I have to sometimes force myself to say, Linda, is there something that you need to say? Or even not even that, but they ask a question and they're waiting for someone to, they say, are there any questions? Does anyone have a comment? And I may have a question or a comment, but I will tell myself that it's a stupid question or it's a stupid comment. Nobody wants to hear it. They're going to look at you like a fool if you ask that question. And sometimes I have to just go in and break it. And on last Friday, we had a meeting and I did that. I was feeling a little bit, like maybe I don't need to say anything, but I forced myself to say something because I need to break this, and I'm working on this imposter syndrome. I'm working on, not always having the right thing to say, but having something reasonable to say. Okay. And so you want to assess your abilities, and you want to take those baby steps. You want to force yourself to do things that make you uncomfortable, so you can see, and people will respond to you, and whether they respond good or bad, that's not to me, that's not the concern. My concern is that I am putting myself out there, and I'm breaking out of my shell. I'm coming out of that, because again, I am an introvert, so it's easy for me to suck in and be unnoticeable. I need to at times be the extrovert. I need to be the person in the spotlight. I need to be able to shine. And so, and not being conceited, not being proud, not being any of that, but I need to be able to show up when I need to show up. Okay. And so, because of that, I have to take these baby steps. And I'm exposing this for me, because some people look at it and say, well, you look like the type of person that wouldn't have these issues. Okay. So take baby steps. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're on number 5. Number 5 is question your thoughts. As you start to assess your abilities and take baby steps, question whether your thoughts are rational. Does it make sense that you are a fraud, given everything that you know? Okay. So logically, rationally, it does not make sense that Linda would think that she's a fraud, because Linda knows a lot about purpose. Linda knows a lot about finances. Linda knows a lot. So the areas that I have businesses, and the areas that I preach about, and those things, I have not bragging, but I have information. I have thoughts. I have revelation knowledge. And so because of those things, does it make sense that I would consider myself a fraud? Or anyone else would consider me a fraud? Okay, so you want to question your thoughts. Number 6, stop comparing. Every time you compare yourself to others in a social situation, you will find some fault with yourself that fuels the feeling of not being good enough or not belonging. Instead, during the conversation, focus on listening to what the other person is saying. Be genuinely interested in learning more. So stop comparing yourself. When you go into a conversation, whether you're talking with someone that has more knowledge than you, doesn't have as much knowledge as you, go in that conversation with the question of, what can I learn from this person? And so when you go into the conversation with that mindset, you're going to listen to what they have to say. You're not going to be listening to so you can formalize what you want to say, or thinking about what you're going to say next, or how you're going to up one them, or how you're going to look more important or more intelligent, or whatever it is. That is not why you go into the conversation. You go into the conversation to see what it is that you can genuinely learn from this person. And you don't compare yourself. Oh man, they said that so well. Because there's going to be people that do things better than you. There are going to be people that say things better than you, right? You're always going to be able to, like I said, find fault in yourself by comparing with someone else. And the Bible says it this way: it's foolish, it's idiotic. Well, the Bible doesn't use that word, but it's crazy for you to try to compare yourself with someone else. Okay. Number 7, use social media moderately. We know that overuse of social media may be related to feeling of inferiority. If you are trying to portray an image on social media that does not match who you truly are, or that is impossible to achieve, it will only make your feelings of being a fraud worse. So, you know, we have these apps where we can make ourselves look better, thinner, skinnier, you know, um we can add makeup and make it look like we are makeup gurus and all of that, right? We can change our hair color and all of this. So we put our best foot forward on the internet. um we take pictures of when we're having fun, when we're doing stuff. So it looks like, oh, Linda doesn't have a what care in the world. She's da 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 da. But real life happens, right? On the real side. And so you're putting up all these pictures and people are thinking whatever they're thinking about your life. And some people know you and they're like, look, I know Linda did whatever. That's, you know, that was 2 years ago. That was 5 years ago, whatever it is, right? And then there are people that don't know you and they're looking at your pictures and they're like, oh, wow, man, I wish I could have done that. Oh, wow, da 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 da. So utilize social media to reflect who you truly are and not who you are trying to become or trying to think you are. You know, some of us have these inflated ideals of ourselves and we portray that instead of portraying who we really are. So be true to yourself. um we just got a few more and then we'll be done. So number 8, stop fighting your feelings. Don't fight the feelings of belonging or not belonging. Instead, try to lean into them and accept them. It's only when you acknowledge them that you can start to unravel those core beliefs that are holding you back. So stop fighting, stop faking it. As my bishop would say, stop putting on the hits. Stop trying to, you know, one of the things that bothers me, even with myself, is when you're having a bad day or you're going through something and someone says, how are you? And you're like, oh, I'm good, I'm good. But you know that you really want to say, no, man, today is not a good day. Don't ask me if you don't really want to know, right? And so you got to be willing to face those feelings and stop fighting those feelings and tell the truth, right? You having a bad day? Look, I'm having a bad day. And this is why I'm having a bad day. I feel like nobody cares. I feel like I shouldn't be here. I feel like I don't belong. I feel like people aren't paying attention. People aren't listening to me. There has to be that because you have to confront that so you can get to the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is that when you speak, someone is listening. Even if it's just one person, somebody is hearing your message. And you may disregard that person because it's not who you want to hear. It's not who you are trying to impress, but it is somebody who needs that, right? And so we've got to face our feelings and stop fighting them. And then number 9, refuse to let it hold you back. No matter how much you feel like you don't belong, don't let that stop you from pursuing your goals. Keep going and refuse to be stopped. So there are some things, and that is what I'm doing. And even me talking about this and incorporating my examples, my real life examples into it. That is me doing all of these steps right in front of you, modeling these steps so you can see that it is something that can be done. And it doesn't matter what level you are at. We all go through this. We all have a moment where we feel like we don't belong, where we feel like we may be a fraud. You know, maybe we have a little bit of information, but we're trying to, and we're trying to put that information out there, but we feel like we're in a room where everybody knows more than us. Deal with it. Deal with it. Do not let this syndrome stop you. Yes, it is a syndrome. Yes, you can overcome it. And if it gets to the point where it's a constant battle, then get you some help. Ask for some help. Okay? I mean, it's as simple as that. So tomorrow it's going to be day number 98. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. We may continue with this imposter syndrome. I'll see what the feedback I get on yesterday and today. And if we need to go into it again tomorrow, then we will do that. But I want you to be blessed. I want you to be encouraged. I am Coach Linda. This is 100 Days of Purpose. We're talking about being a person of purpose. And the only way you can be a person of purpose is to see the invisible, achieve the impossible, and dare to be you all day long. Understand your core beliefs, understand who you are and who you are meant to serve, and do it to the best of your ability. Again, you be blessed, be encouraged. I am Coach Linda, and I am out.